61. Life insurance is not in my budget.
Consider the 3 Ps of our $9.95 plan. I'm Jonathan from Colonial Penn. The 3 Ps: price, price, and price. An affordable price, a price that won't go up, a price with options from $9.95 a month if you're age 50 to 85. Acceptance is guaranteed with no health questions. Apply at colonialpenn.com. Colonialpenn.com.
Limited benefit first 2 years. Ages vary in some states. Jonathan is compensated for his appearance. Plan is underwritten by Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company.
Let's talk with our buddy Steve Palazzolo, Pro Football Focus on the North Olmsted Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram hotline. Steve, I don't know if you heard what I just said there, but Adam Schefter reporting that Lyle Collins suspended 5 games. Don't know for what. How big a deal is that? You know, they will get. We think Zach Martin back. How big a deal is this?
Oh, it's a big one. I mean, Collins, he missed opted out of or was injured last season. Hasn't played since 2019. He had a career year in 2019. He was solid last night in the Cowboys' loss against the Bucs. I mean, any sort of offensive line depth that you lose, if you're the Cowboys, should be concerning, especially the way the offensive line kind of fell apart last year. And Zach Martin comes back, but Collins and Tyron Smith make up one of the better tackle tandems in the league. So, definitely a big deal for the Cowboys you have to go their backups at tackle.
How did Dak grade out for you last night? I mean, obviously he to me looked tremendous, but obviously you guys grade this thing and see how they play.
He was very good. I mean, if you take away, and you can't do that, but he got away with 2 throws that didn't show up in the stat sheet. Threw that one right to I think it was Levante David. Probably could have been picked by 2 different Bucs. So that was a bad decision. Had another dropped interception in the end zone that he got away with. Took that. He only had that 1 sack, but it was kind of all on him. Scrambled out, should have thrown the ball away. So there are a few negative plays in there for Dak, but man, I was so impressed. The pocket presence, of course, the storyline of coming off the ankle, but his ability to sit in there under heat. Bucs were coming after him with the blitz like crazy, and just put the 5 big-time throws by our numbers. So those downfield throws with precision, accuracy, and timing. Dak had a bunch of those, so a very impressive effort for Dak and I think it was encouraging, for the Cowboys, even in the loss.
The prisoner in the moment crowd, Steve, is panicking about Ezekiel Elliott. To me, it was just the Bucs have the best run defense, and they didn't really try to get it going. Was there anything you saw in Zeke that would make you concerned, or was it just this one opponent, he'll be fine?
Yeah, I'm not worried about Zeke because it's not his team. I mean, it shouldn't be. He was. They should have never signed a massive contract to a running back like that. It's a big issue, because I think last night showed, again, Dallas is 0-1, right? So you sometimes like, well, they lost. It didn't work. The offense's job is to score points, and the Cowboys' best chance of scoring points is putting the ball in Dak's hands and letting those receivers do work. And even with Michael Gallup hurt, hey, go cover CD Lamb. Go cover Amari Cooper. Good luck. I don't care who you are. You can't cover those 2 guys. So let Dak spread it around and throw the ball and put points on the board, and you turn to Dan Quinn and say, hey, keep them under 30. And that's been like my Cowboys joke all offseason. And guess what? He gave up 31. So, I mean, that's how the Cowboys should play. So I think Zeke should be a complementary piece of the offense, not the offense. I mean, he didn't look great when he had the opportunities either, but I think the run game should be an afterthought in Dallas, even though there's probably some sentiment that, if Dak keeps throwing for 400, they've got no shot. I think that is the way to win, and at some point the defense just has to make stops.
By the way, according to Tom Pelissaro, the 5-game suspension for Lyle Collins is for substance abuse. There you go. So no details on what the substance is, but he's suspended for 5 games.
Man, not good news. Steve, staying with the game last night, Tom Brady, my God. I mean, I said to Bull, like, what is it with Florida? I mean, Florida, Gronkowski looks great. I mean, Tom looks like he's a 17-year-old high school student with frosted tips. I mean, he's balling. I mean, he played so well last night, man. What is it with Tom? I mean, can this guy really play till he's 50?
He really could. It's absolutely incredible. I joke every year I like to watch his first couple preseason throws just to see, like, does he still have it? Is the arm going to start looking like Peyton at any time?
It looks stronger than ever.
It does. He threw that Hail Mary was 63 yards in the air, and the thing hit the stars, man. It was like Aaron Rodgers. He's got a cannon for an arm, and the scariest thing, obviously, the Bucs playmakers are great, but the Bucs didn't run up tempo, no huddle last year. Brady was still learning the offense. They have that now as a weapon. He's just more confident in the system. in year 2. And then physically, of course, there's no decline. He can zip it when he needs to. He's got the touch, pre-snap recognition, pocket movement when he needs it. Yeah, he's special, man. It's impressive to watch. Certainly doesn't look like he's 44 years old out there.
Speaking of prisoner of the moment, I think Gronk looked like he was a step faster last night than he looked last year. Are you buying that? And are you buying him being even better this season, or just an anomaly this one game?
Gronk always scares me because he still doesn't have a ton of seasons with 16 games under his belt, So
sure.
He did look a little bit better. I would always keep him on a bit of a pitch count, especially when you have that kind of depth that the Bucs have. I think they could be smart there. I thought he definitely looked better from start to finish. I thought last year he had those. I said he's got those turbos in him every now and again, like 2 or 3 times a game that he would show last year, but the consistency wasn't there as far as his athleticism. But yeah, he did look fountain of youthish right there. Just in better football shape already here in week 1 than he was last year early in the season.
Such a great game last night. I'm wondering, Steve, if you think the Browns and Chiefs game on Sunday could be very similar to this game, back and forth till the very end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was somewhat joking on my podcast. I kind of wish this game was in the middle of the season. It's great to see it at any point, but early in the season, sometimes you don't always get the best gauge of a team. But I'm excited for it. I think it can be an awesome game. All of the offseason hype for the Browns. Maybe it's because I'm a little worried about the Browns' defense and the pieces we've been talking about. Will they come together this early in the season? And, if they had 5 or 6 weeks, to get their feet under them, that would help. But I think it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see what the Browns look like with the new look defense. Baker with OBJ and his second year in the offense. And then the Chiefs. The Chiefs still have that sour taste with the Super Bowl. And I think, a lot of Super Bowl losers in the past have dropped off. I don't expect that from the Chiefs at all. I think they'll be motivated and they want to make a statement. And I'm sure they've heard the Browns hype this offseason as well. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be, I hope, definitely one of the best games this weekend.
Steve, if you had to predict most receiving yards, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashard Higgins, or Austin Hooper, who you got?
Oh, I'd probably go Hooper. Just the nature of the offense. I don't remember where they all landed last year, but Stefanski loves to use the tight ends there, so I think Hooper will have plenty of opportunities. I don't want to pigeonhole Peoples-Jones as just a deep threat because it seems like he can continue to develop and maybe steal some of those Rashard Higgins snaps. But Higgins is just a good, solid, all-around receiver too. It's a nice place for the Browns to be because I think, again, last night's a great example. When you have at least 3 guys that the defense has to cover, you can't do it in today's NFL. That's how you win in today's NFL. Is just get as many difficult to cover, unique playmakers on your team and put the defense in a bind. And it does seem like the Browns are continuing to grow in that department.
Steve, yesterday I made a bold prediction that one fan called a stupid prediction, said it was impossible. Most people on TV that make bold predictions are not that bold, but I think this is very bold. You tell me if this is possible. You think there's any chance this happens? I said Nick Chubb rushes for 1,200-plus yards. Kareem Hunt rushes for 1,000-plus yards. Oh, by the way, this is assuming health, which is maybe not fair, but assuming health. Odell, 1,200-plus receiving yards, and Landry, 1,000-plus receiving yards. Possible if they're all healthy.
I think the Hunt one is the more difficult one of all that. I could see Chubb taking a little bit more of the workload from Hunt as they go here, but it's not. Look, it's a 17-game schedule. Yep. It's easier to pick up yards in the NFL than ever before, and that includes in the run game. The run game is more efficient than it was, back in the day as well, just because you're spreading to run and offensive coordinators are just doing so many things to just make linebackers and safeties' lives miserable. It's just their job. Make everything linebackers know and make it wrong. So it's easier to run. It's easier to pass. It's not that crazy. And it's not that crazy because the Browns are a well-balanced offense, right? I mean, they pride themselves on that balance, not run pass splits, but balance as in everybody's getting involved. You let the system do the work. So I think it's all possible. The one thing I think would be tough is the 2,000-yard rushers and having enough opportunities for both Chubb and Hunt to grab that many rushing yards.
Steve, when you look at the Baltimore Ravens and the injuries they've suffered over the last couple of days, how much of a factor will that be in terms of wins and losses for them, and does that open up the division for the Browns?
Well, you know me in the running back situation, so losing their top 2 running backs, it's not ideal. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, 2 guys who have already been uber productive in that system. Even I think Latavius Murray comes in and will be productive as well. So I think they'll figure it out on the ground. I'm a little worried about the Marcus Peters thing though, because again, if I'm on your show every week saying depth in the secondary, got to have it, and the Ravens lose one of their key pieces, that's a big deal. Both tactically, so you build depth for the tactic of if you're going to play man coverage, you could play matchups, and you've got 3 or 4 guys who can cover every single week, but also from a team building standpoint, when you have that many guys, when somebody goes down, you have replacements. The good news for the Ravens is they do have good depth. Jimmy Smith is still over there. He's getting older and he gets banged up, but he's a solid player. Anthony Alvarez played some decent football. But losing Marcus Peters, it's a big blow for a team that loves to play man coverage. He's a turnover machine. He's aggressive. He'll give some up too, but he's aggressive, gets the ball back for the defense. Great compliment to Marlon Humphrey. So that's the part that I'm a little bit more worried about. I still think the Ravens will be able to run the ball because Lamar is the catalyst there. But, yeah, it's starting to add up for the Ravens. A lot of bad luck early on.
You mentioned Latavius Murray and Ty – what's his name? I forgot his name now.
Tyson Williams.
Tyson Williams, is a guy who's never played, and he'll get an opportunity. They also signed Le'Veon Bell and Devontae Freeman. I think both those guys are shot. Dustin felt the same way. What say you? You think those two have anything left?
Yeah, again, in this system, Gus Edwards, as an undrafted free agent, averaged 5 yards per carry each of the last 2 years. And then they got Dobbins, and he goes up to 5.8. That's the type of production that you can have in the system. Le'Veon's an interesting fit because he's not that downhill bruiser that this offense creates. They create space for guys to get downhill and punish the defense. So, I think Freeman could be a decent fit. We'll see if Bell has anything left. But I think, again, no matter who is there, the Ravens do a great job of just outmanning the defense because of the Lamar Jackson run threat. And they do have a good group of run blockers up front as far as the O-line goes. So I think they'll have production no matter who gets out there, whether it's Le'Veon, whether it's Freeman, Latavius Murray, or Tyson Williams.
Steve, one of the other big games this weekend, the Buffalo Bills hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers Sunday. That's a 1:00 game. It's a big game for Pittsburgh, I think. A lot of people are down on them, down on Big Ben, down on their defense, and obviously Watt gets the big contract this week. What do you make of that matchup? Yeah,
it's a good one. I know from one sense, Josh Allen of the Bills, he struggled a little bit against the Steelers. PFF grade of only about 60 in his 2 games there, including last year. Hasn't done well against the Steelers blitz, so that's the one thing I think the Steelers might have going for them. But, yeah, they've got massive question marks to answer. We've been talking about the Steelers' offensive line having 5 new, fresh starters, basically. Kevin Dotson is kind of a returning starter in his second year here. But it's a completely changed offensive line, but it's a completely changed system, too. And I liked what the Steelers did in the preseason, using motion and play action and misdirection, all the things that Big Ben generally hates. If he's going to buy into that, it's going to do him a favor, right? It's going to move defenders, open up passing lanes. So I think that's the Steelers' best chance. But I'll be watching their offensive line, and I'll be watching their secondary. Losing Steven Nelson, they just traded for Arkello Witherspoon. We'll see if he gets on the field right away. But I think the Steelers are vulnerable up front and in the secondary. But if they do come together, I think the Steelers are they're as competitive as any team in the North. So, yeah, it's a huge game and a big test against a very good Bills team.
Steve, last thing, I was reading an article by Sam Monson at PFF that he wrote it a couple of weeks ago, and where he gave tier rankings of all the defenses, and he had the Steelers and Ravens as tier 1. He had the Browns as tier 2. Shockingly, he had the Bengals tier 4 and not tier 5, which surprised me there. But how close are the Browns, do you think, heading into the season defensively compared to Baltimore and Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I think they have the pieces. Again, the depth in the secondary is incredible. If they stay healthy, and it's Denzel Ward, and we don't really know what Greg Newsom's going to be as a rookie, but on paper they made the right moves, right? So having Denzel and having John Johnson and Troy Hill back there, I think the pass rush will certainly be better. Now that Myles Garrett has some friends, some compliments. We'll see if Malik McDowell is as dominant as he was in the preseason. That could be an absolute steal. So I think the pieces are there. I keep saying, though, let's see. If they start to put it all together and they tap into all those various skill sets, the Browns absolutely have a chance to be one of the better defenses in the league. I love the way they've built it from a process standpoint. Now I'm looking forward to seeing them on the field.
Steve, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the games.
You got it. Enjoy the football, guys. Appreciate it.
The world moves pretty fast. 1 minute you're standing, the next you're dragging. How can you keep up? I'll tell you. I'm Ira Madison III, host of Keep It. Each week, Louis Vertel, Aida Osman, and I do the hard work of exploring the intersection between entertainment, culture, and politics, with guests like Billy Porter, Catherine O'Hara, Ronan Farrow, Francesca Ramsey, and more. New episodes of Keep It drop every Wednesday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Jonathan at Colonial Penn. Helping Americans feel more secure is a big part of my job. Our 995 plan is a whole life insurance plan for people age 50 to 85.
$9.95 a month? For how long?
Once you're covered, you can count on that rate for a lifetime. Go to colonialpenn.com.
Is it hard to get?
Acceptance is guaranteed with no health questions.
Colonialpenn.com. Got it.
Limited benefit first 2 years. Ages vary in some states. Jonathan is compensated for his appearance. Plan is underwritten by Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company.